Today I am joined by the lovely Louise Giles. If anyone has a story to tell, it's Louise. And if anyone has mastered the art of juggling, I'm going to say it's Louise as well. You was also featured on This Morning, Absolute Radio and the BBC, which is incredible. Welcome to PMU Unveiled. I'm Layla Hinchin and I'm your podcast host. I am the creator of the PMU Circle, an online membership there to bring confidence and education to artists around the world. I've also run my multiple six-figure clinic and training academy for many years, and I am here to bring you unfiltered PMU talk. Let's scrap those false pretenses and the image of perfection that surround our industry. We want to keep it real, we want to educate and of course inspire you. Together, we're going to challenge the norm and shed some light on the realities of being a permanent makeup artist. If you're ready to dive deep and join us, make sure you hit that subscribe button and let's get going. Guys, so welcome back to another episode. Today I am joined by the lovely Louise Giles. If anyone has a story to tell, it's Louise, and if anyone has mastered the art of juggling, I'm going to say it's Louise as well. I've had the pleasure of meeting and working with Louise in permanent makeup training. So just a little overview and then we'll jump in, Louise, just to let our listeners know a little bit in advance. So you started off doing really well. You've done well at school. You went to uni, studied law, first in your family to ever go to uni, but you never finished with the law as a career. And you mentioned this was down to imposter syndrome, which I definitely want to touch back on if we can, because I think this is a big one. So that you then went into the police force, which was quite a change. 10 years in, you're still there. She is a detective. And not only that, she is a mum. She also has two businesses. And I would say she's pretty bloody good at juggling stuff. I know as well with one of your businesses, the detective one, you was also featured on This Morning, Absolute Radio and the BBC, which is incredible. So let's start at the beginning, because there's so much to say with your story and so many ways we could go with this. So let's go back to the beginning. So you've done your law degree.
Yeah, well, I was lucky enough back then I was the last year that you didn't have to pay any fees. So they kind of actually paid me to go because I got a full grant and everything. And otherwise I wouldn't have been able to afford to go. So I feel quite sorry for young people now getting all the huge debt, and must make them sort of think twice about whether to actually go. But even though I'd done really well at school, when I actually got to university, I completely changed. I didn't feel like I wanted to contribute in seminars and that. I'd basically not really been around posh people before, and I just felt totally intimidated in those surroundings, which I'd actually ended up going to a university that I got much better grades. I could have gone to a better one, but stupidly I went with my boyfriend at the time. But that should have really made me think, well, I am good enough to be here and to really make the most of those opportunities. But unlike school, I really disconnected from what was going on at uni. I did come out with my law degree, but even then I didn't have the connections that some people in my class had. I think with the Essex accent, it's probably you feel like that's probably one of the worst ones to have in terms of being taken seriously. I mean, you know
what? It's
the Northern girls.
It's really funny because I never went to uni, but we obviously both grew up in East London. We've both got a common accent. He went to uni and then he went to Cambridge and then he got a scholarship to Harvard.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But he came back talking posh, right? And
he had to. I bet he felt at the time he had to.
You have to adapt.
Yes.
But then when he comes back home, because he lives down in Cornwall now, but when he comes back home and he'll listen to us all sitting there and he's like, oh, he's so common. Like, remember where you came from.
Yeah, don't forget your roots. Get the rhyming slang out.
It's amazing how you can change.
Yeah, exactly. And I think part of that is there must be some deep-rooted issues there in terms of wanting to be taken seriously. It's only as I've got older And that has hindered me in interviews and things like that, where I've been so concentrating on the way I'm saying something that you're not focusing really on what the content is. And I think it's just one of those things which you've probably found as well, Layla. As you get more comfortable in your own skin, you think this is how I talk, and that's it. It's an accent like any other.
Yeah, I definitely think it comes with age as well, don't you?
Yeah,
Like that
yeah,
confidence to just think, well, this is me, take it or leave it. Because I actually used to be really shy, like I'd be really poor at talking to people, holding a conversation.
yeah,
I would never put myself in a situation where I didn't know anybody. Like
yeah,
I'm not great, to be fair, with small talk in some scenarios.
yeah,
But I changed. I think it was once I started work, I come
yeah.
out of my shell a lot. And but it is a skill that I think you develop sometimes. We're not all naturally born with it, are we?
No, no, exactly. And it took me a long time. In fact, that's my law degree hasn't really helped that much in the police as much as you think it would, other than when I have to liaise with barristers, I'm not that intimidated. I know that, posh people talk shit as well,
Yeah,
It's not
I love
just
that.
because they've got a posh accent doesn't mean that what they're saying, when I've learned to listen much more to the content of what everyone's saying rather than
Mm.
actually the way that they're saying it. But yeah, so then I left uni. I didn't have a clue what I was going to do with it. I couldn't afford to do the LPC, which would have been sort of study to be a lawyer. And to be honest, I wasn't that interested in it. I was really interested in people always, and that's been the thread that's gone through everything that I've done since then. Is always, what can I do to help people, even with a permanent makeup artist. That's the sort of angle of it that I like the most. And I thought with the lawyer stuff, the commercial law, it was quite boring. And then someone suggested to me the police, and no one, I was actually a bit worried about telling my dad. I thought, as an East End geezer, he'd be like, "What?" But he said, "Well, yeah, got a good pension that has." So
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about at the time. But funnily enough, that sort of looped round again because I've actually now done 22 years. I know you said 10 years again, 22 years
Oh
in the
wow.
police. Yeah. So I kind of joined the police totally on a whim, and it was lucky that they was doing a recruitment drive at that time. Some people wait years to join the police if it's not at the right time. But I was in within a couple of months, and I was at training school thinking, what am I doing here? It can totally freak me out when I put the uniform on. I thought this is just weird. But as I started the training, I thought this is exactly it. I thought actually this really is for me. It's different every day. I had briefly got a job after uni for MTV, so it was a really good company to work for, really young and fun. But it was still office work, and I just thought I'm not cut out to just work in an office. I need to be amongst it, which I certainly was when I joined Bethnal Green as a young PC. But I didn't do very long in uniform, and then I joined the CID. And so, yeah, really, I'm a career detective, 20 years as a detective. And yeah, sort of worked in all the different areas of CID. It's obviously a very demanding role. You've got to work a lot of overtime, and really, you've got to be there. You might start work at 8 in the morning, expecting to finish at 4, but you don't actually come home till 4 in the morning, and you can't just leave. So I saw a lot of the girls really struggle when they come back to work after having children, because how do you arrange childcare around that sort of scenario? So I thought I really want to go part-time when I have a child. So I was pregnant with my son when I was 34. And whilst I was on maternity leave, I spoke to a friend of mine she was on maternity leave as well. She had already had a child and had experienced a lot of problems when she come back to work. So she was exactly the same as me and thinking if we could just go part-time. But we obviously wanted to make up the income elsewhere. So she found this new franchise that just started, which was called the Detective Project. And she used to be a former teacher before joining the police. So we thought, perfect. The Detective Project was set up by an ex-police officer detective, and it was children's parties, school workshop, and eventually it ended up being a corporate team build all around crime scene investigation, everything detective wise. Now, I knew when I was a kid, I absolutely loved, me and my best friend, we had our own detective club. There was only two of us in it. And I thought I loved that sort of thing when I was a kid, and I knew that there was still a bit of an appetite for that. So we went down to meet her. She was in Bristol, and we ended up signing up to the franchise. So I think joining a franchise, the franchise model for us was absolutely perfect because it meant you had that support there. We'd never run a business. We had absolutely no idea what we was doing with that side of it, but it meant that there was a sort of structure in place. There was that support there. But the franchise grew, it took on more people, some people up north, that kind of thing. But to be honest, we were the only franchise that did really well because we were so invested in it. And I think we just worked really hard, to be honest.
So it's like, even though you took that on as a part-time thing, in addition to still being employed part-time, it just shows you, doesn't it? It really does come down to the amount of effort that you put in to something, I think, to make it.
100%.
Even with it being a franchise, you'd think it would be easier, kind of ready built system, business there for you, but it's still down to, so you've got you and other people all doing the same thing, yet somehow you've managed to make a huge success of it over others.
You're 100% right there. Because you've got that comparator there of other people who've got exactly the same business model. They've got the access to the same customer base, but some of them just ended up giving it up, or a couple of them moved, and we were the only franchise really that was really successful. But I mean, I did have a year when I was on maternity leave. I mean, this was my messed up thinking at the time. I thought, this will be perfect. We signed up to the franchise when I was 8 months pregnant, I think, and we were doing these events at village fetes and stuff like that. I've got pictures of me with my big bum lugging skeletons round, because I thought, this is perfect. I'm going to have a year off, while I'm on maternity leave. I can build this business up. And then, of course, I've I've got a baby. I didn't know what I was doing with that. And the whole time, my whole year off, I'm trying to build this business. So it did really affect my maternity leave, because in good ways and bad, in some ways I was really grateful that I always had something else to be thinking about, because I think I would have gone mad just thinking about weaning. And there were certain times where I think, the whole idea, and I'm sure a lot of people in the group can relate to this, the whole idea of, when they say rest when the baby rests, I was like, as soon as that baby was down to sleep, I was like, go. And I'd be really annoyed sometimes if he slept for like 3 hours, but his normal sleep was like an hour and a half. I think if only I'd have known it was going to be 3 hours, I could. So it wasn't the maternity leave that a lot of people have, I suppose, because I was always trying to fit in wherever I could, doing some work on the business. And putting the baby to bed at 7 and then going to, start work, if you like, was grueling sometimes, to be honest. And it's that, but I always had in mind that it's those small efforts daily that is going to be what builds it up. So, but then I had more challenges, obviously, then when I went back to work as well, then it really kicked in, because obviously baby was only 1. And luckily they did let me go to quite an office-based job that was regular hours. I was only 50% then in the police. So I had my set days. Again, though, I was very funny about, I really didn't want him to go to nursery. So I probably, in hindsight, I should have let the reins back on that. I've got loads of friends whose kids go to nursery, and they're not warped, or they've been absolutely fine. I'm sure if
I was the same when I had Alfie, and that was when I was early days, just building my business from scratch. I was the same. I was adamant, he's not going to school until he has to go to school. I don't want him to go into nurseries. So I was lucky in the sense I had my mum, his other nan. I did have support in that side of it for childcare. But then when I had Eva, my second one, I think as soon as she turned 1, I was like, right, time for nursery, she'll be fine.
Well, that's the thing. I think you realise that a lot of this stuff's in your head. You
Yeah,
know,
definitely.
the weird thing was when you went to school, bearing in mind the way I'd been the whole way through, you'd think that I would have been devastated, but I literally dropped him off and was like, "See ya,"
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
sort of knew he had to go. And that's a
Mm.
lot of the things I think as women we impose these things on ourselves. It's like you'll put your kid in childcare or something to go to work because you think, oh, that's something I've got to do, but you're reluctant to get someone over to take some time for yourself because you feel like, oh, that's selfish, but it's just as necessary. And the kid doesn't know, do they? What for what reason you're you're
Yeah,
leaving them?
exactly. Yeah.
But you just put these self-imposed,
We put so much
limits.
pressure on ourselves, so much.
100%. Yeah, I know. Because when I was thinking about what I was going to talk about today and all the juggling different bits and pieces, I was thinking there's other things I put on myself. Like I still like to put out a good dinner every night, and you've got to try and find time to go to the gym and friends and family. It all weighs in, doesn't it? It's not just the jobs, and it is hard to juggle it all. But
So you've gone back to the police part-time.
yes,
You've got a lovely little boy. You're doing your detective business.
yeah.
What then on earth made you start another business?
Well, COVID, COVID.
Ah,
This COVID was really, really important for me and this is something I really wanted to talk about today in terms of my mindset, because in the run up to COVID, I was really getting quite overwhelmed and was just thinking, oh, I'm just so busy all the time. I just wish I wasn't this busy. And I felt like life was dragging me. Then COVID hit, and suddenly, I couldn't work for the business. I was lucky. At that point, I was thinking about leaving the place because the business was doing so well, and I knew I'd have to. Everybody sort of comes to that point when they've got a business and a job where the business is doing really well, but not quite well enough unless you're going to take it to the next level, you need to leave your job. So I was thinking about that, but it's got huge implication with the police. That would always be something I'd advise people, is that you've got to leave that job. If you're so limited in how much you can grow a business while you've got such a huge amount of your time allocated for you, basically. But in the police, well, definitely now, I've only got 8 years to go. My pension is, I've worked 22 years for that. And if I leave now, then I won't get it till I'm 60, whereas I'll be getting it in 8 years' time. And that will be the buffer that I need to then really, I can lay the foundations now with the businesses. And a lot of people I know that are older than me are saying, 8 years is going to fly by, don't throw it away. But what was I saying? Yeah, so at that point, though, this was quite a few years ago, so I wouldn't have had that much service like I have now. I was really thinking about leaving the police and growing the business. Then COVID hit, and everything to do with the business stopped. I was actually really grateful that I hadn't left the police, because we were still needed. Funnily enough, my kid could still go to school. Yes,
oh yeah.
I was a key worker. Yeah, I know. Remember when Boris Johnson
I think
announced
that
that?
was the only time in my life I've ever wished I was a key worker.
I was like, this has been worth all the pain in the police. So suddenly I had what I had wanted, just this sudden time on my hands. I was learning how to bake bagels. I was, really pleased to have that sort of downtime.
It's
And that
like there's
lasted,
so much negativity around COVID, but
yeah,
actually, I think it has been such a positive for so many people. Like it
yeah.
forced us all to stop and
Yeah,
reflect.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And as part of that reflection, unlike sort of people that may have thought, right, when things go back to normal, I can't be that busy again. My sort of enjoying the bagel baking lasted about 2 weeks. And then I was like, what can I do? And that's when by that point, I'd been a DS for about 12 years. I didn't really have any interest in promotion in the police because I basically just thought I haven't got time for it. But then I did my exams and ended up being promoted to detective inspector, which I am now, which I would never have sort of had the time to focus on that. And then me and my business partner had a conversation about, what we'd learned so far in our current business, what we liked about the business, what we didn't like about the business, what maybe another business, what the features of that would be if we were going to do another business. And I mean, that's a whole tangent of how we arrived on permanent makeup. But we ended up doing the training with you, and then we
Yeah.
opened our little salon in, I think it was 2021. But yeah, I think what that showed me now, I've just completely changed I try and change my language even about, oh, I'm so busy, because now I know that is self-imposed. It's not, I think before that, I always thought it was some external factor. If I could just get rid of this, if I just didn't have this in my life, if I did, if I didn't have to worry about that, then everything would be great and I wouldn't be so busy and sort of stressed. But I think having that realization that I like that.
Do you know what?
If
I'm
I drop,
exactly the same. I can't be bored. Even
no,
now, like we just come back from holiday, and I don't really like to do all-inclusive holidays anymore because
yeah,
I can't lay around that pool all day. Like
yeah,
I like to go out exploring and walking and seeing things. And I was
I
like,
know,
I was so looking forward to a week of doing nothing and
yeah.
chilling by the pool. 2 days in, I've got itchy feet now. I'm bored. Come, let's do something. What should we do? What should we do?
I know. I'm exactly the same. Even for leisure, I'm really into these extreme day trips where you go.
Looking at these.
They're brilliant. Yeah. So I do that sometimes, fly somewhere and then come back. Obviously, it's intense. I do about 30,000 steps in a day, or I'll go for one night and just pack in as much as I can. So
Mm.
I think sometimes it's understanding that, and then you feel quite liberated because you realise I'm not being dragged. I make this choice. I like to be busy. I love variety. Even with the permanent makeup, I mean, really now everything else has picked back up again. We don't have a great deal of time to actually see clients, so we have to be quite limited in how we're going to market and how we're going to grow, and understand that that's a really long game there. If I was looking just at the figures, I'd say really it's been a bit of a mistake to do that. That was like a COVID, mental thing, and I should just drop it out. But I love the variety. I had a really mental week last week, and then on Friday, which is one of my days off in the place, I was seeing someone for eyeliner, eyebrows, and lips all in one day. And I spoke to my sister in the morning. She was like, "Oh, I bet you could do without that." And I said, "No, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to just doing something different and spending that time with someone all day, not being, it's totally different than the work I do in other areas."
Yeah.
So
And even though, like when you're looking at the figures,
yeah,
if you're enjoying it and
yeah,
you've got them figures coming in from the other parts,
exactly.
then you're right. It's playing the long game, isn't it? Because you've
Yeah,
got that business, it's an established business now. And if and when you want to grow that to the next stage, you've got all the foundations done.
yeah,
And for now, enjoy it for what it is and that variety.
exactly. And so then it sort of helps guide where you're going to put your time, because sometimes we feel guilty that we're not, doing much around the social media, but actually for us it's better to just have that referrals from people, and because that's the sort of level that, as long as we stay up to date with training, and obviously via the circle, and the circle, we have to make sure we watch our videos and stuff, just to make sure that we're current, 'cause and we've got enough clients to make sure we don't get out of practice. Really, I'm happy with that.
And again, I think that's really important as well, just to touch on, because again, like social media, there's so much pressure on us. We should be posting every day and be consistent. But if actually you don't need them clients,
no, what's the point?
the social media strategy is not important, really,
No.
other than just to keep showing up and letting people know you're there.
Yeah.
You don't have that desperation for clients to have this huge, strong social media strategy. Same as me, like with my tattooing, I only do 1 day a week now.
Yeah.
So I'm booked till December. I don't need to be using my pictures and my work as a strategy to get clients in.
No, exactly. You don't want to be, and that's the thing. You need to do that goal setting piece first to see actually how that's going to direct your daily activities. There's no point. Sometimes we often find ourselves doing things, and then we think, well, why are we actually doing that? We don't want clients in that area. With the party business, there's a lot that we could do online in terms of social media, but we know that that's going to get us more parties, more kids parties. Well, they're the most labour intensive and the least profitable. So what we really want to target is more of the corporate team builds, which earn us much more money. They take less time. They're not stressful. I mean, you get like you get 20 feral 8-year-olds on a Saturday morning, and that can really ruin your day.
That's not for me.
No, I know. But the thing that's sort of really been the big thing at the moment is we then ended up leaving the franchise. Basically, we'd done 10 years with the franchise, and it was kind of running its course. We were the only franchise left. Various ones had finished doing it, and I thought, you can't be a franchise of one. The only reason we was really even stayed in as long as we did was just the effort that we knew it would be to rebrand. But we managed to part company with the franchise owner on good terms. A lot of sort of business advisors said to me, that's never going to happen. It's going to get ugly if you're going to be doing exactly what you did in the franchise. But a lot of those were men, and I think this is why women
we're so much better.
Run the world. Yeah, no, we just we really just managed to talk it out, and yeah, this last few months we've been putting the website together, all our pictures and everything. We've got 10 years experience in that area, so we was able to use that to say, right, this time we want to focus more on the adult stuff, still do the kids stuff, but that's where we go in and sort of flex things like that, because now I've got 6 different detectives who do a lot of the events for us. So again, that's where you really want to get to in terms of passive income, isn't it? That events are happening. I think there's one today, actually. That's what I mean. I don't even know. they're happening out there, and
you're not there doing it yourself.
I'm not there doing it, but that's exactly it. I haven't got the time, and even taking that step was big, because my business partner Lorian and she used to be a teacher, so she was great with the kids and the school workshop, and she really taught me a lot. But then you end up getting into a place where you think, oh no one can do it as good as us, you know. But we handpicked people that were, great presenters and really top of their field detective wise, because people want to hear those stories of people that have been on murder teams, and we made sure that they were interesting characters that had a lot of good stories, and they're doing brilliant. The feedback we get from the events is great, so it hasn't actually. Now I think they can probably do it better than me. It sort of changes. So yeah, we just, doing all the branding and the website has been a lot of work, but the website actually landed this week. So it's sad really, because I even typed in the name into Google, the full name, which is Crime Scene Challenge, and it didn't come up at all, because the Detective Project comes up straight away. So it's got
that years of SEO,
13 years of organic growth online. So it's going to be difficult, but yeah, we will get there. And we've got a lot of clients that we used to have in terms of working with event companies and stuff like that. So we've still kept those contacts. So yeah,
I'll pop all the links below as well. So if anyone's listening and you want to go and check that a little bit more and see what Louise does.
Yeah, if anyone's kid wants they all get dressed up in the little forensic suits. It's quite cute, do their fingerprints and powdering. They do like it. But and also if any salons want a corporate team build.
Corporate thing. Yeah, how much fun though. As an adult, I think I would really still enjoy that.
Yeah, it is. We try and make it really realistic so that you can actually have a go at how a case is solved. You get all the documents and different. It's all done in kind of real time. So we do try and put a sort of realistic spin on it. It's not like a murder mystery or something. Cringe. It's quite. It is quite.
Realistic.
For those sofa. What are they called? Sofa detectives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that we'd know about them. So that was another thing when you were saying about not having the downtime that other people do. That's another conversation that I can never join in with, is when my friends get together and they're all talking about what Netflix shows they've been watching and things like that.
Yeah, I don't get it. That's what it is for me. What are you watching on TV? I don't really get time to watch TV.
I know. and that is the thing, is that where, probably everyone who's part of this group, the reason that they're part of this group is because they're the sort of person that people say, oh, I don't know how you have time for it all. And
Yeah.
you think, well, yeah, while you're watching Netflix,
Yeah,
doing
exactly.
something like this. But the way that I've used my time over the years has definitely changed, though, and that depends, I think, on the age of your children. Like
Yes.
and your age probably. I just don't have the energy now to do the work in the evening that I used to do. But likewise, my son's 10 now, so I struggle to get him in bed at a reasonable time that would then give me the time at the end of the day. So I've had to, take your advice and get on board with the miracle morning.
Miracle morning.
I resisted for a long time, but it's been on my radar for about a year, thinking the thing that I could do that would make the biggest change to my life would be to, get up at the crack of dawn. And my mind just works better at that time of the morning. By the evening, I can't even, someone texts me and I feel like I haven't
No,
even got the energy to reply. Yet in the
I'm the
morning, you can
same.
be like,
Yeah, I get so much more done in the morning
yeah.
than I do in the afternoon or evenings.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I was very resistant because I just, hate getting up early. But it hasn't been as bad as I thought, because I realised normally when you get up really early for something, it's something you don't want to do, like either go to work or,
Mm.
it's imposed on you because your baby's woken up and you're like, oh God, I've got to deal with that. But this is the first time I think I've ever, apart from when you go on holiday and you're excited to get up, the first time I've ever set my alarm to then get up to sort of do something for yourself. So it really, it hasn't been as bad as I thought, apart from
Good.
the
I'm glad
jet
you're
lag.
enjoying it.
Yeah, the jet
And the
lag
thing
feeling you get about
yeah,
3 o'clock.
but you do it gradually. Like I started just half an hour earlier. Then once that just became the norm, I'd go another half an hour earlier. And then your body just adjusts. And like I
Yeah,
naturally wake up now at about 4:30. My alarm's not set
yeah,
until 5, but I'm awake.
yeah,
I'm laying there
yeah,
waiting for my alarm to go off because your body, you just adjust. Although saying
yeah.
that now, I am normally asleep before my 8-year-old daughter in the evening.
Yeah, well, I mean, it has sort of given me time in the evening back, I feel like, in terms of headspace, because I now just think, there's nothing that can't wait until, 5:30 in the morning to reply to. So, whereas I would always, even if I hadn't set time aside to, do any work in the evening, I'd be trying to do the odd, reply to an email here and bits and pieces there. So I was always trying to snatch bits of time, which I think your kids and that do pick up on that, don't they? That he's in the bath and he's like, Mummy, what are you doing? I'm nothing. I'm like,
1 minute,
feel
one
like I've literally, I mean, even with my husband, it's like I've literally shut myself in the toilet before to reply to
I
emails
used
and
to
that,
do that.
pretending
I'll
I'm having
hide
a
in the
poo.
bathroom.
Because you don't want to admit, oh, you're sort of working again.
Yeah, do you
So,
know what? It's really funny actually. I noticed it when we was on holiday recently, just how much I've changed and how strict I am now with my boundaries. Because when I used to go on holiday, I'd always be sneaking off to
yeah,
work, like do some emails, without no one seeing, so they couldn't moan at me.
yeah,
Or I'd
I know.
purposely get up really early while everyone's in bed and sit on the balcony and do my work. And the holiday we've just come back from, I didn't do it once, and
That's really
actually
good.
how
Yeah.
that reversed, it was me having to go at Darren for working while we was out there.
Yeah, I
So,
know. It's mad, isn't it? It's like in my police job, obviously I've got a lot of responsibility, but when I go off, I put my out of office on, and people can't contact me, or well, I suppose they've got my phone number if it's dead urgent. But I'm happy to put those boundaries in there, and yet I've never used an out of office for my business, because I just think, oh no, if people are shopping around, I know what I'm like. Sometimes you've got 10 minutes to book something or sort something out, and if the first person doesn't come back to you straight away, it's like, right, that's my window to sort it out. I've got got to book someone, and I worry about that. But actually, when it comes to, I mean, if you want a detective party, there's not many places you can go, so they're gonna have to just wait for a reply. So
and the thing
I
is, if
really,
you are getting up early and doing it now, you know
yes,
what's going to happen between 10 o'clock the night before to
yeah,
6 o'clock the following morning? Nothing really, is
exactly.
it? So they can
No.
wait that till that next morning.
Yeah, so that has really helped with that. And even a lot of people said, "Oh, you're not going to do it at the weekend, are you? And I thought the weekend's going to be the best period of time actually to do it, because now I'm finding I'm getting that bit of work done, and then by the time my son's woken up, he has a little bit of iPad in bed or something. By the time he's ready to get up, I'm committed to what we're doing with the day. I'm not sneaking around, and
I
it's
do
it's
that.
ridiculous when you think sneaking around to
I
work.
I know, but we do. We all do it.
I know.
But I'm the same. I still get up 5 o'clock on my Saturday and my Sundays. Sometimes I might
Yeah,
push the boat out and lay in bed till 6.
yeah. Woo.
But I actually feel worse when I lay in now. I feel really
Well,
unproductive and lazy all day.
yeah,
So I can still get up, get everything done that I need to do for the week, that weekend. Then when
yeah.
everyone else gets up, if we're going out for the day or something, well, I'm off. I'm switched off. I'm done. I've done it all this morning.
Yeah, and also you don't have that sort of guilt in your mind. You've
No.
done what you've done. You're happy with that. You draw a line under it, and then you move on, don't you?
You've
But
emptied your brain out, haven't you? Like you've cleared your mind, so now you can
yeah,
actually enjoy yourself and have your weekend.
exactly. The only thing I'm getting sucked into, which I need to stop and address, is I'm starting to use the miracle morning for just basically getting up and doing more work. Whereas the whole point
You're
is
missing
it's
out
meant
your
to
morning
be
routine.
you're meant to have your bit of exercise. And when I was doing that, when I was going for a run or doing a bit of exercise, then I felt much better for it all day. But I'm slipping into just using that time just to work. I'm
Do you know
not going to do
what?
that meditating though. I cannot
No,
get up
this is what I was
early
going
to
to
shut my
say.
eyes again.
Yeah, but sometimes you've got to tweak it and you've got to make it
Yeah,
your own and do what works for you. But I go through stages depending on where we're at in the business. So, say if we've got like a really busy time in business or we're launching or something like that, sometimes I will sacrifice some of my morning
yeah,
routine to get some work done.
yeah, yeah.
But then I'm also conscious that when that's done, that little period, I go back to
Back to yeah,
actually having that time for me, whether I go for a walk, a run, or do some yoga, or even just pick up a book and read. So
yeah,
I think it's important to know that, like, to be okay with that, you're still going to have busier times and less busy times, and
yeah.
we can adapt, but we still kind of maintain that overall balance.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's very,
And
very
not
true.
feel don't feel guilty if you've got a really busy time and you're using that morning time, don't feel guilty for it. You're still getting
Yeah,
up doing it.
yeah, and that's the thing. What you're saying there is it's all adapting, it's all reflecting and looking at how you need to change the ways that you work or how it's best going to work for you. Because you take your eye off that, and before you know it, then you're feeling dragged again. So
Yeah.
it's just trying to keep that control, isn't it? And do your planning.
Just review, yeah, like every
Yeah,
week, sort of think, right, how has this week been? How has it made me feel? Where
yeah,
am I slacking, or where do I need to change? Like I'll know sometimes, like some weeks I'll end up getting so busy, and then it's like, oh, I ain't done my run today. I really want to
yeah,
get it
yeah,
done. But then when I do that for a week or two back to back, I'll notice I start
yeah,
feeling shit and stressed again,
yeah,
and then I
yeah,
ask myself, right, you need to prioritize this, and
yeah.
then I'll go back again. So you're always going to have them as long as I think you're aware of it. I think the most important is being aware.
Yeah, definitely. And also, we need to give ourselves a bit of a break here. I was thinking about it the other day. We're the first generation to have to do all this. My mum was a housewife.
Yeah.
She was there for us all the time, but likewise, she didn't have a lot going on in her own life. And we're here managing businesses, work, kids, doing it all. And I think in the future, people will even look back on this generation and say, like, how did they do it? Because there'll be so much more technology that helps us with everything. And I
Yeah.
know you're really always looking at that on your automation and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
hearing more about that in the business mums club, because that's something I'm not great with technology, but I know that's really where we've got to go in the future to keep on top of all this stuff. So we do
Anything
have
that's
to
going to
give
make
ourselves a
life,
break.
yeah, and
Yeah.
anything that's going to make life easier, why not?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, and it's essential because we're just spinning so many plates. But now, like I said earlier, after the COVID thing, I'm trying to spin my plates with joy and not be, every time I talk to someone, it's tempting. I'm still always tempting. How are you? So busy.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, no, I'm really busy, but that's how I like to live. And,
And
that's me.
again, it just comes back to mindset, doesn't it? And our self beliefs. It's what we
Yeah,
tell ourselves.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
half the time we tell ourselves stuff that isn't true.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Louise, it has been incredible. Look at that. We're bang on an hour, I think.
Are we? God, I could have gone on all day. I loved it. Loved
It's been
chatting to you,
incredible
Layla.
chatting with you. I think you've got such a great story, and it's so inspiring. I mean, not even just one business, two businesses, and a part-time job.
I just think it's I just can't wait to do some meetups because me and Lorien always say this. We just say, oh, she's one of us. You know, when you meet another woman that's exactly the same as, you know, got all this going on and is just striving but is joyful with it, like you are, Layla, then it's nice to meet other people like us.
Yeah, it is. And I'm really,
So,
really looking forward to the in-person
yeah,
events and stuff, because you can't beat in-person stuff, can you? Especially like a room full of loads of us all in one
can you
place.
imagine? We're all going to be bouncing off the walls. It's going to
Yeah.
be insane.
It'll be incredible. And do you know what? Actually, I know we've run out of time today, but I would like to get you back on here because something that I did want to discuss with you was partnerships.
Right. Yes.
So you and Lorien have been partners in two businesses for a long time.
Yeah.
I think
And
that would make a great topic for another episode.
it would actually, because yeah, it definitely comes with its challenges and great joys. So it would be yeah, that would be a good topic, good idea.
To be confirmed, guys.
Yeah.
Stay tuned because we're coming back with episode 2 from Louise. Right, Louise, thank you very much, lovely. I'll
Thank
catch up with
you.
you soon.
Thanks, Layla. Bye.
Bye. And that wraps up another brilliant episode. I hope you guys are enjoying. If you are, we would really, really appreciate dropping us a little review below. It will help our channel to reach more artists, and hopefully we can support more and more people on a regular basis. Don't forget, my inbox is always open, so if you have any questions at all for me, or there's anything or anybody you would like to see featured on the podcast, just drop me a DM. We're always here for you. And I will catch up with you over on the next episode.